I'm going to fight the sun. Hi, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. How are you doing this morning? I need to put on my face. So yeah, good morning. I just woke up, so good morning from me. Good morning, or just good. Hi. So I hope you're doing well. And yeah, let me just get ready for the day. First thing that goes on is this. Where does it go? That's a secret. I'm kidding. It goes right on my face. So, hi, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I was woken up because my nephew was calling, and he was calling to ask if he can play with my son. The marvel of children having phones. Back in my day, what you had to do is you had to get on your bicycle and you would have to bike all the way across town by yourself and then bang on the front screen door of the child's house that you wanted to hang out with and ask their mom there. But now it is much easier and much more accessible to have cell phones, and honestly much more dangerous. To have the entire universe in the palm of your hand is so magnificently strange and curious and of course dangerous. So I find it interesting. So I woke up this morning because my nephew was like, hey, is he awake? Can I play with him? I want to play. So I was like, baby, honeybee, can I have him call you back? I just woke up. Nobody is awake. Well, now I am. Unfortunately, no one else is. But that's fine. That's fine. We're just going to get ready for the day and then allow today to unfold in a way it deems appropriate, right? And then we'll just react to the day. Or perhaps not react. Perhaps we'll respond to the day appropriately as it unfolds. Yeah. I don't know. There has been a shift within me. And it's a good shift. Good shift. But it's one of, I don't know, like of deep acceptance at this moment, at this time, this morning. There is a deep acceptance I have of life, but also of death. And so I'm just like, kind of with things, I guess it's not death so much. Okay, perhaps let me clarify. First of all, what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? What type of media are you consuming? I want to know. So leave a comment below and tell me. So at this point in my life, I feel less fearful of death. When I was younger, I was so afraid. I'm not afraid of death, but I was so afraid. Even when I was doing mischievous things that I should have not been doing. But I was young. I was fearful. And the fear had kind of tainted my existence to the point that it paralyzed me with thoughts that were too rapid and too big for my little body to have. So even if I was being mischievous as a child, I would still have like the ever-present fear of the very Saturn-esque thought process of just being frightened of things and their outcomes. The hyper-awareness of consequence, let's call it that. The clip for today reminds me of the Three of Pentacles. The hyper-awareness of consequence has always been in the forefront of my mind since I was a young child. And the weight that consequences has always been ever present within my mind. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes I would be mischievous. Sometimes I would be mischievous, and I don't give a fuck about the weight of consequence right now. I just want to do something fun. I just want to be alive. And then something bad would happen. I'd be like, oh shit, there's a weight of consequence. Ooh, oh gosh, I knew you were there. But is it not like a mentor or a teacher? That weight, that deep weight of awareness. I don't. I think it's funny. Uh, I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. Um, that people in metaphysical circles sometimes will be like, and I've been guilty of the same thing, of thinking that you can separate one's ego from the body or something. It's like as if you could separate the shadow from yourself, but you cannot. I've been guilty as well of these things, of thinking that it is something that you could actually permanently ban from your existence. You cannot ban the ego. Silly, silly, silly. It is important for your journey, but you can come to terms with it, be at rest and ease with it, distract it to an extent with certain frivolous things at moments time, like a baby with keys you can rattle in front of his eyes. So you can distract your ego to an extent. Of course you can, but you cannot remove it from the body, right? From the human existence. It's difficult. I haven't figured out how to do that anyways. And so I just give up, like whatever. So you have to come to terms and be at peace with things that are and things that are not, right? Correct? Maybe not. I don't know. So anyways, I just think it's funny and sad that some people will swing that egotistically around in metaphysical circles and be like, I am so aware. I am so like I am so. Well, that's great. And maybe you're not. Maybe we're not. Have you ever thought of that? Have you come to that conclusion yet? Maybe we are, maybe we are not. Have you thought of that one yet? No? Come back to me when you have. Or not. I don't care. You're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? There was a boy in my town who thought he was God's gift to earth because he had, I don't know, read, what is it, the Four Agreements or something like that, once, perhaps a couple pages. And so he thought that he was like, there's something interesting that happens among people where it's like they kind of get, I don't know a nice way to say this, so I'll say it in a way that's not so nice because it's my experience. Every time I met somebody who was on the cusp of becoming a cult leader, they had always, first of all, ingested mushrooms, like psilocybin, the psychedelic psilocybin, whatever. And then they always thought that the next step after ingesting mushrooms was thinking that only God talked to only them, being special. Mistake. Okay, and it's so interesting, the inflation of the ego that happened, that they were God's John the Baptist. They were the ones carving the way for Christ to be on earth. And I thought it was so fascinating and sad and scary because some of the most, let's just put it this way, some of the most glorious cult leaders, and yes, there is a type of glory that goes into being a cult leader, of course there is, to be the Pied Piper of so many people's hearts and souls. How peculiar, how magnificent, and how scary. So there is a type of glory that goes into that. Correct? Perhaps there's not. Perhaps it's a unique perspective I have on things. I don't know. I don't care. So they would eat mushrooms and think only God could talk to them. And then what they would do is they would find a way through their drug dealers to acquire more mushrooms so that way they could talk to God again because it was only them that God talked to. But yeah, the kind of strange psychological reaction that people have to eating mushrooms, especially if you're of a certain type of, let's just say you have all the bits and bobs. You've acquired the Christian background, and so now you have a certain ideology that's been lodged into your brain, a type of dogma, and it's interesting. Perhaps it's not dogma, but there's like a I don't know, like holy scripture still written on the walls and caves of your heart and mind. And so you go in and ingest mushrooms and you become hyper aware of things or whatever, and then all of a sudden you are John the Baptist. No, you're not. No, you're a clown. You're a fool to think that. Um, Now, should you take that experience internally and not replicate it externally? Yeah, I don't think that you should start a fucking cult, asshole, and then like find a bunch of weak-minded people and make them submit to your will while they are zooted out of their mind on psychedelics. I don't think it's fair for you to sit there and gather souls and claim to be the one and the only. That's so disgusting. There are many, and there always have been many, and there will always be many. I think that the Christ consciousness is just that. It's something you can tap into it anytime, really, honestly, and it's eternal and it's always running there. It's not just one person. Like, you go into looking at these stories, and there's many, many stories of Christ-like beings, and I'm just not talking about Jesus. So, anyways, I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. Every time I see, I'm gonna say personally, my experience has always been like white men. I don't know, and it's not just white men. It's not. But in my person, sometimes it was a Hispanic man. I've run into a lot of them that they have this like Christian background or whatever. They take mushrooms once, and then they think that they're super duper special, whatever. And so then they stay high. They stay in that realm of psychedelia or whatever. And then they do atrocious things in the name of God, such as, I'm just going to say in the nicest way, MK Ultra people into believing their worldviews while they are also high. So now they have acquired more mushrooms, and now they're giving them to their little disciples, and so forming them in their own way and shape, and they're all in unison, and it's a peculiar and spooky thing. I don't understand it too much, but I've witnessed it too much, and I do not like it. I personally, when I was very young, I had my own experience, and I was with one of my relatives, and he was much like one of these characters. And throughout my life, I've seen these similar archetypes. He was a white male, and he had this special thing. He was eating, shrooms or whatever, and he was like, okay, well, I want, we're gonna meditate, we're gonna fast. You have to prepare the mind and the body, and there's a ritual that has to happen before I give you the thing, and so listen, whatever you are doing, whenever you go into your own, let's say, hero's journey out into the desert, let's say it that way, whenever you are on that threshold and you pass the threshold and then you go exploring with life, okay, it is a personal thing. And then after it becomes personal, then you could go back to the group and be like, here's what I have discovered on my own. Do you have to submit to my way of thinking? No, because you're supposed to make up your own fucking mind and then follow it and go that way. And then you go on your own hero's journey. Then you come back to the group and you say, I have found, by looking at this multifaceted experience, I have found a new glorious inclusion, the rainbow in the crystal. Let's say it like that. There's a new rainbow in the crystal that has appeared like a phantom, and I have discovered it, and I would like to share with the class. You don't just go to the class and sit on top of everyone's head and hold them down and pin them down and exhale into their mouth and tell them that you are the one true way. That's not how it works, bitch. That's not how it works. So anyways, I had a relative who was quite a narcissistic bastard. Isn't that how they all are? Isn't that how all budding cult leaders are? Narcissistic bastards who believe that they have the one true way for God. Because they have done psychedelics a couple of times, perhaps too many. It's gross. It's disgusting. And so sometimes I do speak on, I don't know, there's different occult avenues that people will go down. And, I don't like whenever people start mixing magic and psychedelics. I don't like it. I think it's unstable, and I understand perhaps that's somebody else's path. I get it. No, I get it. You don't have to tell me twice. I get it, but sometimes I do have issues with what Aleister Crowley was doing. Sometimes I do have issues with what other people are doing whenever you start reading their stories and you start getting into different occult avenues, and then you start learning their no stuff behind scenes, and the links these people would do to get attention from a god are absolutely bonkers. It's maddening, and there's a type of strange glory in it too. So I can see both sides of the coin, and I can also see the rim of the coin, and I can see the indentions on the coin, and I can see sometimes with a microscope the patterns and the variations in each coin. But here's the thing, it is just a coin. It's just a piece of silver. Doesn't matter if you have 30 of them. So it's just silver. It's just a piece. It's just an element. It's just a byproduct of the earth. It's not the whole fucking thing. Do you understand? A byproduct is not necessarily the entire goddamn picture. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a mixing product, like you have white and you have a canvas and you want to make art. But do you only use white? No. Is white the most important color? No. There are multiple different colors and shades, and you can use white as a mixing to expand and broaden your horizons of color, right? Or to dilute, or to mix, to make a rosy pink. You mix white and red, and you make this beautiful little pink, right? To mix. It's important to mix. Experience. Internal, external, sit with yourself, go into your hermit stance, meditate, understand yourself deeper and how you relate to divinity. Is this what they told you to think? Is this how they told you to feel? Do you only think this way because you are frightened of consequence? I had to sit with myself for a very long time with that. Was I only thinking a certain way because I was frightened of hell? What was hell? And it came to the point whenever I was, after my experience and after dealing with my narcissistic relative, personally with my experience, here's what happened. I'm just going to share my experience because it is mine. So it's mine to share with the class. So my experience went such as this. So we were at the beach, and it felt like every wave was a staircase. I looked into the ocean, and I saw that each wave, under the full moon, it was a full moon, each wave was like a staircase lapping against the ocean shore. And I thought that was so interesting. And then there was a fire in which people were gathered around. And I was running, and I could run, and it was very fast. And I remember just running up and down the beach as fast as I could until the fire was almost a pin dot on the horizon. And I heard them calling me. I heard them calling me back. I didn't want to go back to them. I didn't want to be around them. I did not want to be around them. I knew that I needed to be by myself. I knew that there was things that was happening. And I looked upon the horizon, and there I saw a green grid coming at me like a freight train. I said, "Do you not see it?" They said, "See what?" I said, "Do you not see? It is coming, and it is gathering, and it is on everything." And so I saw it envelop the world, and at least in my mind's eye I did. And so I looked around, and I thought, how peculiar. I looked at the sand, I felt the sand. I hula hoop, so I have a hula hoop, and I was practicing my hula hoop moves, and it was so important for me to bring this hula hoop on this journey with me and to sit within this circle. It was like my little sacred circle, right? And so then it came to the point where I was getting aggravated, and I asked too many questions. I asked far too many questions, and I was in a questioning loop. And so then I found a stick, and I named him something along the lines of Thaddeus. And I said, "Thaddeus has been, and he has always been, and he shall come with me, and perhaps he shall pay rent, and perhaps he shall live with me. This is Thaddeus." And so Thaddeus was my friend on my journey, my hero's journey at the beach, right? And so we sat around the fire again, and everyone thought it was so funny. Ha ha ha, you fool. That is so silly that you say these things. Of course it was. Of course it is now. silly. So anyways, I was hanging out with Thaddeus, and I looked at the fire, and I made sure that Thaddeus stayed near me. I made sure my stick was near me. He was my friend. So then I noticed my relative's face in the fire. I noticed, first of all, in the fire there was a pig. And I was like, that's weird. I noticed that the log that was burning in the fire became like a chief, and then it became a pig. And I was curious, and I was watching the fire shape and shift and turn and churn, and I felt something. I don't know what, but I felt something. Perhaps unity with it. Perhaps I felt a familiarity. I don't know. So then I look up at my relative, and his face elongates and becomes like an Italian mask. And his smile grows wide, and his jaw drops down, and his eyebrows go high, and his ears point, and he looks much like the devil. And I thought, how strange. But I did not tell him because it was not his. So, I'm not going to give him what's not his, you know. I don't think that would have been appropriate at the time to ruin his journey. But he wanted the experience to go a certain way. So he wanted to expand his consciousness into all of our bodies and basically grab hold of us and be the ringleader. And I am not good with that. I do not sit well with the ringleaders. I don't really sit well unless I agree with what you're doing. And something that was revealed to me was that I, somewhere in my depth and in my own well of being, in my own psyche, he was in opposition to me. He was deceiving us. He was a deceiver. And so I looked at him and I smiled because I knew a secret. And I held the secret within my mouth. And then I watched him and I waited and I observed because I had trusted him. I had trusted him. And so he wanted to be like a chief, but he wanted to control people. And then I found out that he was just this evil, narcissistic bastard later on. Much later on, the revelation happened to where the experience had come full circle, and that slight moment of slight revelation, the slight veil lifting, the elongation, the mask that, happened while I was on my journey was extraordinarily important. But, it was like, so I came to him with dreams and visions, and not visions, I'm sorry. I came to him with dreams and books and ideas, and sometimes I felt like, okay, well, he's into metaphysical things. We have a resonance, correct? We have a sort of communion we can enjoy speaking about things he believes in, things, gods, goddesses, deities, whatever. So I thought. And then it got to the point where he was lying about all of that. He did not believe. He just wanted to be cool or edgy or control people. So what he had done was recreated some form of trauma. Something must have happened to him. I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But he had created and recreated his little play that he was playing out. Was one that was foreign to me. I did not understand the characters or the parts or the roles. And so I just exit, leave. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this play with you. I don't want to play with you like this. This is not fun. I told you, how I felt and things like that. And I thought we were sharing. I thought that this was a safe space to share with you. I thought you were a safe person. And unfortunately, I was incorrect. So, lesson acquired. Lesson acquired. You should have listened to the fire. So interestingly, something else that happened was every time he was around, there was a bunch of wasps. And I was just descending slowly into the collective unconscious, subconscious, collective subconscious, sorry. And so it's a very slow descent. Oh, I'm reading a book. I have an idea. That's interesting. These are interesting thoughts. La, whatever. So one of my books, I was just buying books and reading. What are the ideas out there? What ideas do you guys have? What ideas have you guys always had? Well, what's going on? There was a book, and in the book there was ideas, and so I was listening to those ideas. One of the ideas was that wasps in certain cultures indicated to you whenever an enemy was around, whenever somebody with secret intentions was around. I can't remember the book for the life of me. I could not tell you what the book was called. But it was something about animal omens. I was learning, what does that mean? What do animals mean? At least what do people think they mean? If it's true or not. What do they think? So I submitted myself to this book and that way of thinking. And it was so peculiar because every time he was around, there was wasps. And I was like, how strange. And I told him, that was strange. In my book, it means that there is somebody near you that is, within this book, within this one way of thinking. They say, the author was like, well, somebody around you has values or views that are conflicting towards you, or they are secretly like, whatever. He was like, oh, that's a stupid book. You should not listen to books. You should listen to me. Here's what I think. And unfortunately, because he, in a way, my relative was a mentor, unfortunately, because he was a liar. And with liars, when people lie to you, is that not a lesson whenever it's revealed? When they take the mask off and they go, I was a fucking liar, dumb bitch. You stupid idiot. You believed me? Ha 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 ha. Egg on face. Okay? Is there not divinity within discovering when someone's a fucking liar? There is. Divinity that you've been played. But I was told. The fire had told me. The fire had told me who he was. So the fire had told me who he was. So I knew somewhere inside of myself there was a truth to these wasps. But like I said, it took a long time for me to sit with that. And it took me a long time to learn that he was just fucking with us. And that we were distracting him from the work that he needed to do, which is he needed to go deep into himself and discover himself and not try to play externally with others' lives. But that was not my lesson to teach him. What I should have learned sooner than I did was that there is nothing wrong with being silent and rejecting people. There's nothing wrong with standing your ground. There's nothing wrong with sitting in silence. In fact, there's a beautiful tarot card, the High Priestess, She sits there with information behind her. There is a veil between two pillars. She sits. She is silent. And you either are allowed in or you're not. So was there anything wrong with me learning to reject people? No, I did not have to be all accepting, all encompassing. I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not God. I'm not anything special. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I'm no one. I'm anyone. So was it my duty to accept this creature? No. Even if we were related, it wasn't my fucking job. I'm not his mother. But that's what it came from. A mothering wound. So what happens is that he just wanted to fuck with people. Instead, he wanted to manipulate and play with people as if he was, Geppetto. He wanted to play with people like they were puppets. He wanted distractions, because it was too much for him to actually go and do the work himself. He would instead distract himself with psychedelics and drug use and music and constantly stay within that realm of being high in order to detach from the true work that needed to happen behind the scenes. And so, I learned that he was making fun of me. I learned that he did not really agree with my beliefs and that they had a secret camaraderie, him and a couple of other relatives, where they would, the things I told him, like, hey, I got this new book. It's pretty cool. Are you interested in it? We just went to the bookstore and blah, blah. Would you like me to, I'm very open with sharing even items. I'm like, hey, I got this book. It made me think of you. So I bought it for you. There you are. I gift people things a lot. Whenever I think of them, I get things, and I just do. Sometimes I just do. I don't think too much about it. If I feel it, I do it. So, I found out that he was making fun of me. So funny. I'm so funny. Clever, clever, clever. And of course, like, that whole experience, to an extent, it had decimated my ego. And that was fine with me at the time. I was young. I was like 21, 19, 20, 21. No, perhaps I was 19. I think I was like 19. Yeah, I think, let's just say, I was roughly around 19 when all this happened. I was not 21. I could not legally drink. Like I said before, sometimes I would do things I was not supposed to do. And within each of these things held a valuable lesson. It is better to do your own work. It is better to take up your burden and do your own work than it is to constantly find yourself in the care and ambiance of those who would further decimate, desecrate, and destroy you. Okay? It is much better for you to sit alone in your isolation instead of sit at the table drinking and sharing wine with those who speak ill of you in other rooms. Okay, take a lesson from me. Take my lesson. You want a lesson? Take mine. Don't go and do it. Just kidding. No, here's something here's a gift. The greatest lesson that you can learn is just to love and be loved in return. No. But yes, but no, that's not what I was going to say, but it was in my head. So yes, the greatest lesson you can learn is just to love and be loved in return. No. But yes, but what I was trying to say was something else. Hold up, it's fleeting. The thought is leaving. Come back here right now. Do not have communion with those who are destructive, who are like 4-year-olds with a weapon. It is better to isolate yourself and dive into yourself and fall into yourself than it is to have any kind of communion with those who would betray you for no reason other than because they can. Is there a lesson in the betrayal? Of course there is. There was a grand lesson I learned about humans, about people, about that person, my relative. There's a great lesson I learned, and it was fucking painful. I learned that about sharing too much. I learned that not everybody is your friend, even if they are related to you by blood or marriage or something. I learned that there is a destructive, devious quality within certain human beings that is so fucking painful. Oh my God. And so what they do is they just shut off their human nature and then they go and inflict the pain. They throw it around the walls like mud. They mudsling and they slander your name and they do horrific, heinous things because they're trying to recreate their own trauma and they don't know how to set the stage correctly. And they're asking actors to come and play this game with me. Come play. I wrote this play and it's called I am ashamed of something and therefore I shall mask it, hide it, and destroy you if you remind me of it. Okay, let's go. No, you could sit this one out. Sit in the audience. Leave. Go on a walk downtown. You don't have to watch this person's shitty play. You don't have to watch this train wreck, you can leave. You can avert your eyes. Do you have to stay? No. And so I learned that over time. I learned to start retracting myself from the family gatherings and from any place that this person was. And once you retract yourself from being enveloped in their work, their great work, their play that they're putting on to recreate trauma, to exit a cycle. Once you pull yourself away from it and go, I will not dance with you in this way. I don't give a fuck if we're relatives. I don't care who your mama, your daddy, your bald your granny is. I don't care. Once you retract yourself from that and you get the cojones, you get the backbone, you start understanding your spine, your structure, the high priestess, being silent and rejecting. You're not deserving of this. You're not deserving of the information I have. Goodbye. You don't even have to say goodbye, you just sit there. Silence. Non-verbal, shaking your head with disgust. Okay? There's a lesson for you. It is that, holy shit, what the fuck? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, holy shit, what the fuck? Now, am I saying everybody who does psychedelics is a complete loser or an asshole? No. No, I'm not. But I do not want you to confuse your Neptunian Christ-like consciousness for chasing a high. I think that there is something different. There is like I said, there's a coin. And the coin is that like Neptunian consciousness. And within waters, of course, it's fun to play in the water. It's fun to splash around. But you stay in there too long and your fingers get pruny and you start dissolving. You lose yourself. There is a dissolution that happens. And then where are you? Well, you're gone. Now you have to go on another hero's journey out into what? The waters of all water and figure out, where am I? Who am I? Blah, 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 right? Begin again. I'm not saying that they are bad for doing psychedelics. What I'm sharing with you is a personal experience, and that was not the first time I had run into that archetype of somebody who was narcissistic on psychedelics, essentially a cult leader. That's what I'm trying to say, is that this person who is, doing, they have already a certain type of ideology, and so then they mix it with metaphysical avenues, aspects, and then they believe that they are special, they are sacred, they are the one true God, they are John the Baptist paving the way for Jesus Christ to come, and that's just, ugh. Shut the fuck up. Ew. Ugh. Good Lord, get the fuck out of my face. I just think it's horrific. I think that we all have, I feel, I know, perhaps I don't. We all have our own journeys to make. We do, okay? Now, are you fucking special? Sure. But are you the one true one only? No. No, absolutely not. There's many. There has always been many. There will always be many. If you start looking into like the Christ archetype, is there not much? Many? There are so many. There's so many. Dionysus? Christ? How do you say? The Egyptian gods? Just pick a pantheon, throw a dart at the fucking metaphysical pantheon board, and you're gonna find a Christ-like child. So what does that mean? What do these stories mean if they're all the same over time and space? Well, then there must be some kind of truth, and it's up to you to figure out what it means to you. Now, is it up to you to go ahead and gather all the actors and set a play on stage and then decimate their fucking psyches because you're a child with a weapon? I don't know, it's none of my business, but I don't think it's very admirable to sit there and shove your own fucking consciousness so far into the pits of hell and leave it there. And then go and tell others to fetch it for me. No, that's your job. That's your job. It's not my job to be down there mucking through your mess. That is your job. That is your journey. That is not my road. So I will not take it. I think that we have our own paths, our own things, and our own, meanings and purposes. And then, like I said, you go in the individual path and you go by yourself, and you're gonna be alone. You're gonna be afraid. La 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 la. Okay, you're gonna be alone. Yes, you're gonna be afraid. Of course you are. It's scary being alone, is it not? I mean, we're mammals. Essentially, right? I mean, we're mammals, right? We're friends, right? We're mammals. Is it not completely destroying to the mammalian brain to be isolated and alone? It is scary. What do mammals do the best? Well, they reproduce, they have fun, they enjoy communion, they play, they spar, they have banter, there's communication, reproduction, laughter, fun, play, practicing fighting, defending, um, peacocking, essentially. There's like a whole thing that happens with mammals. So because we are mammalian to an extent, there is, of course, it's dangerous. Things happen in general to human beings, especially the ones that are alone. The psyche starts forming and shaping in very strange ways. Whenever you're alone in the dark and you flicker on a tiny light and you are alone in the dark, you're dark. Let's say you're in a room by yourself and there's a light on the ground. You flicker it on and then all of a sudden your shadow casts a strange projection behind you. Is that you? Are you going to turn into the strange creature that's on the wall? Or can you move and dance and shift and shape and then notice that you have made a dog or a rabbit, You have to learn shadow play. You have to learn shadow dance. You have to learn a lot of things. And is it up to me to teach you? No, it's up to you to just be like a bloodhound in your own path. Find your own game trails. Discover yourself. Look into the well of who you are and see what kind of reflections cast back. Now, do you have to sit with that reflection? Sometimes. Is that the one true reflection of yourself? No, you're a multifaceted being. Of course, we all are. Now, what have you discovered? There will be times there's an ebb and flow. You're going to be alone. You're going to go on a dangerous journey alone. Wee, very spooky. And of course, you're going to be confused. Oh, shit, Sherlock, you're going to be confused, but you're going to figure it out if you just have faith in yourself. And perhaps you won't. Perhaps you'll be devoured by Saturn, and he'll say, begin again. Begin again. I don't think that's all you had. I don't think you were giving it your all. You understand? So it's not something that, you don't want to stay under the deep, dark, black water for so long holding your breath. You have to come up for air, reintegrate, gather sources, gather materials, read information, experience things. And then there will be a trigger and you're like, oh yeah, there was something under the water of waters. There was something there. I forgot about it. So many things have happened in the past couple of months. I forgot it was there. But you can hear it. It's a frequency, it's a feeling, it's an experience. Maybe you hear it. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe you are a surface dweller. Maybe you cannot understand the riddles of the underworld. That's fine. It's none of my fucking business who you are, what you are, why you are. It's yours. Is it old business? Is it new business? Do you stand on business? Are you going to stand on that business? Are you present in business? But are you going to be afraid? Absolutely. Sometimes the fear is your friend. Fear is information. Do not ignore it. What can the fear tell you? Is it truly too dangerous for you to go down there alone? You're going to be alone. You're going to be afraid. It's periods. It's ebb and flow. It's like the tides. It pulls and goes. You have your own cycles within yourself and outside of yourself. You have your own birth chart. You have your own studies you have to do. You have your own thing that you can uniquely bring to the table, and yet it is not unique because technically we're all on our journeys, and so it's important for everybody to do their individual work as well as their collective work. And the individual work you do as an individual, you will understand later on, perhaps you won't, maybe you will, maybe you won't, I don't know, it's none of my business, that you are actually helping the collective in some way, shape, or form, okay? So next, you're alone, afraid, scared. Okay, excellent, fantastic. Mwah, good luck, baby girl. But then, as well, within the underworld walkings, you will have to ask questions. Things will show their teeth. You have to take cues. It's going to take time. You go down, you look around, you go in an inch, you come out an inch. You go in 2 inches, you come out 2 inches. It's a shadow play dance, What is down there? What are the things that shape and form? You come back up. Maybe you write your writings. Maybe you don't speak about the things you see. Maybe it's just scary. Maybe it's a spooky dooky thing. Perhaps it is. The things I find down there, sometimes, sometimes it's like you're walking down a hall And you're being guided down a strange lit corridor in the cloister of things in the underworld, and you see that there are all these rooms, and in these rooms there are people bound. Their eyes are bound, and there are things whispering into their ears, individual things, and they're not for my consumption. So I observe, I keep walking, pay attention to where I'm going. But there's many things, many things within the thing. There are so many things in the thing. It's a thing. You know what I'm saying? There might be a point where you can only ask one question, and it'll take 6 months for you to even get an answer. What is time? Does it exist down there? Not that I know of. Does it go on your time? No, it's not your time. The time that we have now is very different, and it's different for everybody. The time in here is different than the time out here. Okay? That's why you can watch a whole movie in 5 seconds after you've watched it. Out here, it moves faster within you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever had that experience where you're like, oh, I just watched that whole movie. You look at the thing, you go, oh, I've seen that movie before. And then you rewatch it in your head, 5 seconds flat, or 2 seconds or half a second. You go, oh, I've just rewatched it all. I recalled the entire 2 or 3 hours. I'm sorry, hour and 45 to 2 or possibly 3 hours. Externally becomes very quick, a millisecond internally, right? So it's gonna take time. What kind of time? I don't know. It's none of my business what your time is or how your ticker works. That's for you to discover. But you might only be able to ask one question. And whenever you're down there and it's time for you to ask the question, you might forget what you were supposed to ask. And so now you're like, oh my God, I wasted time. I've wasted a consequence. No. Begin again. Everything is cyclical. Everything moves in cycles. There will be another pattern that will emerge. And then, I know this role. You step into it, you allow it to, you do your little down to the underworld. I remember the question I was supposed to ask. Why? And then you absorb the information, you come back to the surface slowly. Do you understand what it takes for people to go underwater? They cannot just ascend quickly. There's something that happens to the body. There's all these boils and blisters and bubbles that comes up. Go do research into how scuba divers can go down, but they must ascend slowly. Okay? They have to ascend slowly, because if not, there is a body consequence that happens to scuba divers who just try to rush to the surface real quick. I'm not sure, I think it could kill them. How peculiar. So think about that. For a second. You can descend, scuba dive, into the murky waters of the abyss. Ascend slowly. You don't just, even if you are losing breath, it would be easier for you to just still your heart rate. And instead of allowing fear to take your body and fucking mix it into a fucked off thing, take it as, okay, fear is information. All right, I have to ascend slowly. I'm taking it as a rejection. Okay, so I've asked my question. It was not the right time. It was not the right form. It was not the right shape. All right, it's fine. I need air. I need to go back to the surface. And so you must make the ascent. Okay, I took a left here. I took a right there. I left breadcrumbs. Oh my fucking God, the crows have taken them. What now? Well, trust your guiding light and allow yourself to find yourself at the top. Again, slowly ascend. Pause, wait, ascend, pause, wait, ascend, back to the surface. Gasp in the great glorious air of the earth, the exhalation of the trees and the bees, baby. And then contemplate. What did you see? What did you do? Should you immediately go and tell somebody? No. Sometimes that's how people end up institutionalized. They go into the underworld, la 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 la, and then they get lost and they're like, holy fucking shit. Then they're too loud. Then everything sees them. And then all of a sudden, Pac-Man time. And so then they are devoured, destroyed. They come back too quick. They have physical things on them, and they're shaking and they're jarred and they have ascended too quickly, too rapidly, and they're confused and la la la. They're speaking in underworld riddles and nobody understands what they're saying, and they have had a schism, is that what they call it? It's just, to themselves. And now it's going to take time for you to wind and bind your psyche back together, and perhaps antipsychotics, perhaps whatever. So in a way, yes, you could ascend rapidly, and of course you can lose your fucking mind. Sure, why not? Is that my business what you do? No. And if you have lost your mind, I'm sorry. I hope you find it. Would you like to borrow mine? Would you like to borrow mine? No, I'm just kidding. You cannot have it. It's mine. I'm just joking. No, but let's say you ascended too quickly from the depths of the underworld and you speak in riddles and everyone's confused and you are shaking and vomiting and tweaking, whatever, right? And so you rapidly went and you told somebody, oh my fucking God, I'm seeing something. I'm seeing insert something here, and your vision is blurred and you're confused and blah blah blah. And so now, is it not peculiar, those Piscean energies that happen whenever you start losing your mind within the masses, and then you alert, not only did you alert everything that was in the underworld, and now you have madness, you have a touch of rage and madness, you came to the surface too quick and you alerted all the surface dwellers, and they are saying things like, there is something wrong with you. You look different. Your face is radiant, and I'm really scared. Lock him up so he can be alone now. And guess what just happened, bitch? You went back down. So you get locked up, you get institutionalized. 2-week stint in the mental institution. What does that look like? Well, it looks like isolation. It looks like heavy medication. It looks like you have to rest your mind. And of course, things happen there. Sometimes not always good things. I've heard many tales of people being institutionalized against their will, and I always tell people it's better to go on your own accord to a psychiatrist, save up a couple $100, and on your own accord submit to the doctor, and say, hey, some things have happened. I would like to speak with you upon those things, and here are my reactions. Here is how I feel, and here's what's happening. And then from there, they can take their magical, it's like Caduceus, the magical, and slap you with it. No, like the Harlequin's bat, the Caduceus. Turn you into a fucking dog. Okay, no. Maybe, who knows? I don't know, but aren't psychiatrists kind of like magicians of medicine? So, it's better for you to go on your own accord to a psychiatrist than it is to have a 2-week stint, because then they give you a laundry list of medications that you may or may not need. They don't really give a fuck. Their whole thing is to they're like the cowboys from the rodeo, which I find to be magnificent. The pickup men. So let me tell you all about the rodeo real quick, because I am from Texas and I do like the rodeo, and one of my dreams is to become a barrel racer. Don't tell anybody. That's one of my secret things, okay? So I do love barrel racing, and I love the rodeo. I love all things southern, southwestern, Texas. So here's the thing. You went to the underworld. Now you're riding this beast, this bucking beast. And can you hold on to it for 8 seconds? How long is 8 seconds whenever this beast is thrashing? How long is 8 seconds? Is it an eternity? Is it a moment's time? Is it a millisecond? How long? Now, is your form good? Can you hold on? Each time is different. It's a different beast. Each person gets a different beast to ride. And when they are riding that beast, you have to learn how to maneuver your body. You have to have a quick mind. You have to learn the maneuvers. So you have to practice. You have to go and get these wild bucking beasts, go to a ranch and practice. You could fall. You could die. You could snap your spine. You could break your fucking neck. Just riding a beast. Interesting, is it not, the cowboys? At least I find it interesting. So, they are riding these beasts. You have a time. You leave the gate. There is the gate. There are the pillars. the sound goes off, they release you. You have to go. You have to go. And so you do. And do you do well? I don't know. How long can you hold on to? Maybe you immediately get thrown off. Maybe before it even leaves the gates, it knocks itself out. You know what I'm saying? The beast could be many things. It could be a cow, it could be a horse, it could be a sheep. Have you ever seen the little kids do the sheeps? They get on the sheep's back and they have to hold on as hard as they can to the little sheep. It is very sweet. It is everything. I love the rodeo. So, unfortunately, people in England and Europe do not have the rodeo. I'm so sorry. It's banned. I'm sorry, but it is the most exhilarating thing to go to the rodeo. I love livestock. I love animals. They're so magnificent and beautiful. Anyways, back to the boys. So there's something called a pickup man. Okay, so whenever you're done riding this beast, and let's say the timer has gone out, but you're still on it and it's still fucking going, you get both sides of you paralleled by these pickup men, okay? And they do what? Well, they are pickup men. They pick you up, honey. They pick you off the dangerous beast and they grab you onto theirs, which is tamed, and it knows the difference between their horse and yours is that yours is wild and refuses to be broken or ridden, okay? But you are trying to hold on as long as you can to this horse, to ride it, to ride the horse, to understand, to perhaps receive recognition and achievement, to receive some kind of honor. So you must go and submit yourself to, perhaps dying. Many men have broken their spines, their necks, become paralyzed, had to stop doing it completely. It is a young man's sport, is what they call it. It is a young man's sport. Perhaps because the spine is easier to repair when you're younger. I think it's difficult after 40 to get on a fucking bucking beast and then ride it and understand that there is a weight to your consequences. They're not. So these pickup men have to come and pick them up off of the beast and sometimes rope it and tame and pull it back into the pen to pull the dangerous thing back into the place where it can rest and it can eat and it can still be wild at heart, be crazy and dangerous at heart, and buck men off, because that's its job. Its job is to buck men off, to deny them access to riding it. That is its job. And if it does its job well, it shows to the masses who is honorable, who is worthy. Did you see his form? Did you see his shape? Did you see the way his body moved on the horse or the steer? Did you see that way? The way? On the bull. Sorry. On the bull or on the horse. Whatever the thing is at the rodeo, right? And so it is magnificent to me to see these people and these beasts in unison. It reminds me of the strength card in a way, and I love the strength card. So is that not kind of what happens whenever you, let's reel this back in, but there are certain people, there are certain things that happen. You go into the underworld, you go on your hero's journey, and you're with these beasts, and sometimes they're dangerous and scary, and sometimes you want to, submit yourself to the 12 labors of Hercules or whatever it is. I don't know what you want to do, but you're on a journey, okay? And at some point, there's going to be an adversary, but it is you in a mask, okay, essentially, and eventually you'll understand that, and maybe you won't. Who gives a fuck? Not my business. So there's going to be a time where you're mixing, and then there's an adversary. There is something that you must, in opposition to you, integrate into your body. And so how does that look for you personally? Is it riding a wild horse? Is it understanding the rejection happen on a magnificent level to where you break your spine and now you cannot use your legs? Now you're bound for all of your life to a certain experience. There's many things. There's many things that happen. Too many. And they all have different flavors, and they are all different. And I mean, how do people prepare their food? Everybody uses different seasonings, but essentially you can lay 10 different seasonings out and people will mix and mix and match and mix and match and create different flavors and experiences and then ingest them. That's kind of like underworld traveling, okay? But you do have pickup men in the underworld. You do. You do have pickup men that come and pick you up, and sometimes when you come back to the surface a little too quick and you're speaking in riddles, these pickup men, sometimes the psychiatrists, sometimes the institutions, these pickup men will see you and they grab you, they put you on their horse, they get you off of the dangerous thing. They get you off the dangerous ride. Perhaps you're on a dangerous ride. Perhaps you went down too fast, you came up too fast, and it is dangerous for you. 8 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Or 4 seconds, 2 seconds, a millisecond. Maybe you never made it out of the gate. You fucking, the beast bucked and you knocked yourself out, and so this has all been a dream. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it doesn't matter. Your journey is yours. I need to go finish putting my makeup on. But am I going to hate editing this? Oh, God. Yes, I am going to hate editing this. I always hate editing things. Will I probably find some kind of thing in here for me to sit there and look at and be like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Maybe. My journey's mine. Yours is yours. May we meet on certain paths at certain crossroads? Of course. Sure. Are you supposed to follow me? No. Please don't. You'll get stuck in the abyss. Don't. So, is that a good thing? It's a thing. It's neither good nor bad. It just is, Some things just are. Develop a sniffer. Do not submit yourself to people who are detached, distracted, and little 4-year-olds with a big, big weapon. Assholes. Be cautious and wary of narcissists and learn the dance of the high priestess. Learn to reject them in silence. You can reject them in silence. You don't have to play with them. You can be silent. You can reject them. It's possible. I don't know. Just figure out your own shit. And good luck. Good luck on your own shit. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to take care of your body too. Make sure the mixing process is, doing well. You know what I mean? You have to be careful when the mixer's down to not pull it up too quick. Or you'll make a big mess. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. I need to really go finish my makeup. All right, bye.